am I? Okay. Okay. Hey, Laurent, how you doing, by the way?
I'm doing pretty good, sir. Yourself?
Blessed, highly favored, magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem.
Nice.
And still black.
Yeah.
You know, that's all we can be, right?
I was Chinese late last night.
Uh,
I was a little afraid, but I woke up black again, so I'm good now.
Kung fu fighting. All right. Okay. We is ready to go. Go for about an hour. All right. Next time we chat, we is live the next time you hear my voice. So everyone, I know you'll do just outstanding. Here we go. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. But I'm not Dr. Vibing tonight. Sunday evenings right now, around 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. on the left coast, where the other three people are that are hanging with us tonight. We do Black Men from North of the 49th, which is myself, because I'm in Toronto. And then we have Kinte Ferguson, Black Men from South of the 49th. What's going on, Kinte?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. This weekend has been interesting. Not that it was very eventful, but just, I got a lot of work done today and yesterday, so that's a good thing. And I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you and the panel.
But it's going to be a good one. I always like to say ladies first. So there is a lady that I don't know, but you know, and Laurent doesn't know. So can you introduce the lady first?
Yes, this young lady who I've told her this for years. I think low key we're probably related. I just have this feeling, but that's a whole other story. I've known her for quite a while. She's been guest on numerous shows that I've done, and she's just a wonderful human being. She's in the Georgia area right now. Right. But initially from Mississippi. So, and I've always said she has one of my favorite accents of anybody. I love that accent of hers. It's the one and only Jackie. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you guys?
Excellent. I'm so glad that you're here.
Yeah, me too.
Nice. Pleasure to meet you. And then on my end, this gentleman I've known digitally for a number of years. I can honestly say when it comes to online, I knew him when. But now he's done TEDx stuff. He's written books. He gets interviewed all over the place. He writes. He does everything. Plus, he travels. Loves to travel. Before 2020, he did a lot of traveling. I'm sure he'll do it after. Mr. Laurent Barton, what is up?
Hey, what's going on, you guys? Thank you for having me on the show, Dr. Vibe. Kinte, good to be back with you. Jacqueline, very nice to meet you. My name is Laurent Barton. I'm a writer, author, speaker. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, and I live in San Francisco. I write about race, mass incarceration, politics, business, tech, and dating. Author of 2 books, Straight Dope, a 360-degree look into American drug culture, and All We Really Need Is Love, stories of dating, relationships, heartbreaking marriage. I'm ready to get into this conversation, so let's get it.
Well, I'm going to let Kinte lead on this one because he's the American. I am not. So he called me up, I think it was yesterday, saying, we need to chat about this, and he has the right person to come on. I said, well, and he also asked for Laurent. So, Kinte, I'm going to let you lead because you got who you wanted.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you get what you want, right? Honestly,
especially in Black America, right?
Right. Honestly, my feelings about this topic is definitely known. And I was going through my YouTube subscriptions, and I came across a video, and I was subscribed to Jackie's YouTube, and I hadn't really seen a video from her for a minute. And I just, by chance, I think it was in the middle of the night, I came across this video that she did about why she's not voting. And, you know, like as she knows, because we've had many conversations about politics and stuff, and we're generally on the same page about most things. I can't even think of anything we haven't really been on the same page about. But I remember I'm laying in my bed watching this video saying amen to like everything she was saying. Like, I don't know if you ever had that moment where you're just like, you know, I'm like, because we never really talked about this subject before. So when I heard her feelings about this topic, and I love the video, and I remember because I didn't want to forget, and I remember I sent her video back just so she knows exactly what I was referring to, and I just remember just saying, you know, how much I enjoyed the video and that I wanted to share it, and I want people to see this video, and you know, I'm figuring. I feel like I was setting up the bat signal, so whenever she would see it, then she would respond. But she responded like right in that moment, so it was perfect. So you know, I was like, oh yeah, so then we had a brief conversation on Facebook Messenger, and I said, you know what, we don't even have a topic for this Sunday. I was like, will you come on the show? And everything worked out, and then I knew I wanted to have Brother LaRon back on as well. So. So it just worked out that way. So we were talking about not just not voting to not vote, right? Because one thing I have an issue with is if you say you're not voting for the presidency, there's a couple of boats you get thrown into, especially as a brother. Then you are a Trump supporter. They try to say, oh, since you're not voting for Joe Biden, that means you're supporting Trump, which is 100% not true. And then also, I've let down the ancestors that died for the vote. You know, it's like, you know, and also you're lazy. You're not voting because you're lazy, you know, or you're just stupid or uninformed. And I just wanted to destroy that myth of that person. So I think a great place to start off with is, Jackie, let's talk about your video, kind of give an overview of what your video is. And I'm going to, I should have it already, but while you're talking, I'm going to pull it up and I'll put it in the chat room and I'll add it into our show notes. But talk about your video and why you made the video and, you know, and what were the reasons behind it.
I'm just tired of all the fallacy. You know, I'm tired of the Black community being manipulated into voting for the same politicians over and over again and never to change. You know, it's like I feel like now the Democratic Party, they feel entitled. They think that they can throw little things at us and we're supposed to just take it. You know, all the candidates, you know, even in the video I said all the candidates have to do is do the electric slide or, you know, do the Dougie or, you know, say they keep hot sauce in their purse and you're like, oh, so they like us, but
Jackie.
Yeah, there's a.
I just want to interrupt. Your mic is really, really low.
Yeah, all of a sudden, yeah. Oh, that's not.
What about now?
That link is not
It's
going to do it.
a little bit better.
Maybe I could. Let me see.
Okay, that sounds okay. It's better than it was a few. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, but yeah, I'm tired of the Black community being manipulated into voting for candidates that's not going to work for them. You know, that doesn't have anything on the agenda for any of us. You know, all they have to do is, like I said, throw little things at us. You know, like I said, they get on, they do the electric slide or, you know, do something that we feel like relate to our culture and we automatically on board. We never ask like, what's in the agenda for us? You know, what are you going to do specifically for our community to improve our situation in America? It's like we keep voting for the same, you know, party over and over again, but our situation never changed. So I took a risk when I made this video because I got a lot of backlash from my family. You know, my mother, my sisters, my brothers. My mother called and pretty much said she was going to force me to vote. And I'm like, okay. Because in where I grew up, we were like a voting family. Like my mom, she registers people to vote. She works, you know, at the polling place when it's time to vote. So I just got tired of people, the media, and people telling me who to vote for. Oh, vote for this person. They Democrat, okay, but what are they doing for us? What plans do they have to change our situation? And
Right.
that's why I made the video.
Well, Ron, let me ask you. I know you've got some thoughts on this. Can you piggyback on what she just said, and then also give your thoughts on this subject?
Yeah. Well, I totally agree with what Jacqueline said. I mean, it's almost like they don't have to earn our vote. I mean, it's just they just say, okay, we're not Trump. There you go. And it's funny because I'm actually looking through Joe Biden's criminal justice plan, and it's not bad. I'm gonna keep it funky, right? I'm gonna be honest. It's not bad, but it's not good because here's the deal, right? People, they have to do their research, and Joe Biden is one of the biggest proponents of mass incarceration. The 1994 crime bill essentially started mass incarceration. People want to know, why is there just this absence of Black men in America? That's because of the crime bill. Look, I always say this stat, Dr. Bob. For every 100,000 people locked up, 8,000 of them are Black men. There are more Black men locked up in America than there are women around the world in countries such as China, the UK, India. We've locked up so many Black men in this country that it's almost it's shaped the way, it's just totally distorted the way that we look at mass incarceration. Now, I agree with Jacqueline. We've been voting. See, here's the thing. We've been voting, right? You're you got to vote. Kente said, people been shaming them. Your ancestors died for this vote. No, listen, your ancestors decide for the decision whether they want to vote or not. I don't believe in just voting to vote, right? The fact of the matter is if you read about Joe Biden, if you read about his if you listen to his comments about African Americans, they don't give me a lot of confidence. And so adding on, if you look at his partner, Kamala Harris, and Kente, listen, you forgot one thing. As a Black man, if I don't vote for Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris, then I'm hating on Black women. Oh, yeah. And I'm, you know what I mean? And I'm all no, actually, her policies are just absolutely horrible. Look, I am ADOS. I'm American descendant of slavery. I'm pro reparations. And Kamala Harris just came out and said, and significantly, just without any type of confusion, said, I'm not a supporter of reparations. She said, I'm not going to do anything specifically for Black folks. So then why should we vote for you? Just because you're not Trump. There's so much stuff to say about this, y'all, but I don't see myself just really voting for them because they are not, because they're the alternative. You look, hashtag tangibles. It's just like what Jacqueline says, yo, you got to give me something for my vote, right? And you know what I mean? And I'm just not going to vote just because.
It would be akin to your boyfriend is Ike Turner and you're replacing him with R. Kelly. So you can argue one may be, I don't know who's worse in that group coupling, but the fact is they both jerks, right? So my thing is this. When it comes to voting, I'm saying that we have to get to a point as Black people where our vote really matters. And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because they take it for granted. They, when Joe Biden said from his mouth to, I think it was Charlemagne the God, that if you don't vote for me, you're not Black. He was not joking. He was dead ass serious. And that's how they view us. And if they have that kind of mindset in how they deal with our community, then that means, that really just tells you, what their plan is for us, which is a whole lot of nothing. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying don't vote and go, twerk or whatever it is that you may do. I'm saying if you're not going to vote or you choose not to vote, it's because you are making a statement about how you feel about the process and about the two candidates, and also the way that they feel about us as a community. We have I think you're on mute, but we have Mafuni says, yes, every American should vote, not just for presidents, but for your local government. Every citizen has a right to go to city council meetings and call them out. The problem is not many Americans do, so nothing changes. Vote local and national. And I do agree with that to a certain point, but what do you do when you can't stand either candidate? You're supposed to vote for the lesser of two evils? I don't believe in it.
Well, the thing is, really coming down to it, population-wise, Black American votes really don't count because you're not the majority. Right? Like, unless it's a close election, there is a swing. There is the swing vote aspect, but there's an interesting factor here. The largest minority population in America is not Black American.
No,
it's Hispanic American.
Right. In numbers, though, but I don't know about actual
voting. Well,
yeah.
I think that, how can I put it? And I'm just looking from where I'm sitting here. I'm just going. It's interesting. If you don't vote, what's the bad thing? If you do vote, what's the bad thing? If there's no choice, then what does it tell about the future of Black America? If it has no value.
Yeah, I think the way you get your value is by showing you're not just gonna roll over and vote for whatever they put in front of you. Because believe me, there's a reason why they've gone after this vote. It's not because it's not valuable.
Right.
So
right, I believe so too.
I think we lose our value when we just blindly throw it away. And I'm saying this is we need to put pressure on the party for their platform or their lack of a platform. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying doing this strategically.
I think Black Americans need to put pressure on both parties.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, Jacqueline.
Maybe, okay, so we're not the largest ethnic population in America, but maybe we are the population in America that has the most influence because the rest of America follows what we do, whether it's entertainment, culture, just throughout our facets of life and society. So that could be a reason why our vote is important. And at the same time, if you think about it, you may want to research this because I could be wrong, but the population that has the lowest voter turnout, I think, is the Asian population. And even they're still in a better situation than we are in this country. So that in itself says a lot, where it's like, they do group economics and they work and support, and build among themselves. So that way they don't depend on the government and whoever's going to be president to determine their quality of life. And maybe we need to kind of study that model. Because it's not going to come from the politicians. It's not going to come from the government. I mean, we've been trying to do this for hundreds of years. And it's still the same. It's still the same old banana in the tailpipe trick over and over and over again. Vote for the lesser of two evils. Okay, what if I don't want to vote for evil? What if I don't want to participate in selecting, one evil against another? When are we going to have somebody who's good and righteous? Who actually cares about us? Somebody works for it. Is that going to ever happen?
Jacqueline, you're using an oxymoron: good, righteous, and politics.
Right, but to me, that's the only thing that deserves my vote. And if I can't have that, then why am I voting?
Yeah. Well, my thing is, you don't even have to like us, but you do gotta treat us like we matter, and that what we say has weight to it. And the way that you get about that is by exercising that power. And I know we're not a monolith, but there's enough of us. A huge block of us vote one way, right?
Right.
So that, and there's they want that, and like I said, that's the reason why they do the Dougie and all of that kind of stuff, because they want they want to pacify you but not give you anything, and
the illusion of inclusion.
That's
they
right.
Want us to think that they care. They want us to think that they can relate. They want us to think that they care enough about our culture to know anything about our culture, when it's really all just, it's a game.
Right.
And I'm just tired of participating in the game.
Yeah.
Like I said, you do the same. You play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. And we've been getting stupid prizes over and over again.
Yeah. Let's see. We got another. This is from Facebook. Mafuni says, voting isn't always about the voting for the lesser evil. It's also about holding those in office accountable. It's also about voting those who do not reflect the citizen they represent out of office. It's like I said before, you have to play the game. Yes, protest, expose, speak out, and speak up. Unless you play the political game, nothing is going to change.
Bam.
Laurent wants it.
God, yo, listen. All right, I'm sorry, Kente. As soon as you're done with that, do you mind if I jump on that one?
Sure. Martin Luther King didn't only march, rally, and give historic, game-changing speeches. He also was political. He knew how to work it. Okay.
All right. So is this so? Wow. All right. This person that just said it, are they white or black?
Oh, he's Caucasian.
All right. So I'm gonna say this to every white person: stop referencing, quoting Martin Luther King. There are 100 Negroes that have came before and after him that are just as great. Do you want to tickle my pickle? Quote Malcolm X. Exactly. Do you really want to be on the cool list? Quote Ida B. Wells, Fannie Lou Hamer. Girl, come on now. Yes, but I mean, though, but still, listen, they're like, so just stop. Secondly, you know what, and Kente, Jacqueline, correct me if I'm wrong, but how do you hold someone accountable when they're in office? They already got what they wanted. So it's like, so it's like the time to pressure folks is now. Listen, I know everyone is afraid of Trump. Me, I'm a black man in America, so I just look at him as another racist white man. Like, maybe it's, I mean, and I don't know, like maybe I'm just missing, right? But it's like I'm not getting the just the people just being like, so you're like, oh my God, he's just so horrible, like he's a fascist. I'm like, look, black folks, we don't use words like that. We don't call people fascist. We either like is you racist, is you ain't racist. That's the line. You dig? So maybe I'm not grasping the totality of his terror, but it's like what Malcolm X said. I'm a black man. I was born in prison. So it's like this that we're going through. This is everyday life for us. I think that going back to what Jacqueline said and going back to what Kente said, whenever you ask a politician, whenever you ask Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, or whenever you question, that's the word that I was looking for. Whenever you question their past or their policies, people are always going to say, "Oh, that's counterproductive." What do you want? 4 more years of Trump? No, listen, dude. Like, I'm a voter. I want people to be real with me. So it's like, come on, like this is. Look, just that person, man. No, just no.
I want to go back to the Martin Luther King piece. I think we should quote Martin Luther King, because Martin Luther King, was one of the greatest human beings that ever lived. The only problem is when they pick and choose when they want to quote him. because if they always want to go to I Have a Dream, right? But Martin Luther King championed reparations. You know, no one ever talks about that. You know, like that last year of his life. There's a great novel, a book. I'm sorry, about the last year of his life that actually Tavis Smiley wrote, where it talked about how Martin Luther King was like a pariah his last year because he really was going in. You know,
That's probably why his last year too.
Right. He died broke too. A lot of there's a lot of, you know, they don't talk about Martin Luther King, and they do the most appealing aspects of him to the nonviolent and all of that kind of stuff. But I'll say this is those arguments, I ain't gonna lie, I used to make those arguments about voting. You got to imagine, I spent my whole life, I was like 12 years old working in politics. I worked on getting the vote out. I used to say the things that people are saying to me now. I used to be like, you got to vote, our people die. You know, I used to say all of that stuff. And I worked to get people to vote, all of that stuff. And when Obama came along, went for the banana in the tailpipe, even though I knew things weren't right.
We all got, man. We all got.
I still, you know, and then I did this. I even did this. Oh, see, you know, this is his second term. That's when he's really gonna let the dogs out.
Yep. It's like,
oh man,
we have to help everybody. He's not just our president alone.
Right.
Yeah.
I look back and I was like, now I look back on it and I'm like, man, I was a fool. But okay, we have some more comments coming in. We have Gary, what's up, Gary? We got to have you back on the show, Gary. Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam didn't vote, but they own their own banks, farmland, schools, businesses, and employ thousands of Black people. We should vote, but do it more importantly. We should invest in us. Okay, I agree. And Mafuni says it was just an example. Wasn't trying to be cool while insulting. Point was King used politics successfully to a means to an end, and yeah, of course, can hold politicians accountable. Like I said. It has been recently, you go to your local city council and hold him accountable. You should have somebody film the whole thing and post on social media. It holds them accountable. And the only thing is a politician ever wants to be is reelected. That screws up their chances. Okay.
But it's collective memory, you know, because there's been people who, you know, they said one thing about Kamala Harris and Joe Biden before now, and then when they found out that, you know, they're running on the same ticket, it's like they flipped the script.
Right.
And it's like, oh, you know, support Kamala Harris or support Joe Biden. You know, she's the greatest thing to run. But then if you look at a tweet or something from years ago, it's the total opposite impression of that person. But I agree with what that other person said about the Nation of Islam. Yes, you know, you have to have some power behind your vote. You have to have some industry. That's the one thing, that's the main thing, more so than politics. We need to be focusing on building our own industries, our own distribution, our own, you know, financial institutions. That's how you hold people accountable. That's how you gain power. You don't vote politicians, you buy politicians. And I know that's bad to say, but that's how it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's interesting. Like, my thing is, I'm not saying don't be a part of the process, but understand what the process is and understand your part that you're playing in it. And what I'm saying is we have to transform the way that they look at us. And it may be not voting in this coming up election because they need a gut punch to understand where we're coming from.
The first thing we need to transform is how we look at ourselves.
Amen.
That's what I was going to jump in there because more than anything, I think, and Jacqueline, you were mentioning earlier, people have to realize, at least in North America, we live in a capitalist society. We don't live in a democracy. So the votes have to have power, and the power equals money. So that's why the votes don't count, because if a black person doesn't vote, what is it? What do the parties lose economics wise? It's nothing.
You got to cut a check.
Cut the check.
You got to cut a check.
Cut the check.
Yeah.
But that's what they've been doing, and people would say getting away with it. They're making these promises and filling out a blank check.
Right.
Or some people say a check, or maybe checks that bounce. Let's put it that. Maybe that's a better terminology.
That's like the governor of Mississippi, the former governor, Haley Barbour. You know, we had a program in Mississippi called the Partnership for Healthy Mississippi, where they were very successful at getting underage teenagers and kids, you know, helping them to quit smoking. And the sale of cigarettes went down tremendously in that state. Well, the tobacco companies didn't like that. So they put some money behind Haley Barbour, who was already a lobbyist for the tobacco companies in Washington. Once he got in office, he dismantled that whole program. You know, and I know that it was for a wrong reason, but they was able to buy that power and cut that check and get him in power so he can work in their best interest. That's how it works. I mean, it's not right, but you know, that's just how it works.
Right.
So is a Black American vote worth anything then? Because of and economically, Black Americans are not doing this. Pardon me?
I think it's worth. It may not be worth as much as like another special interest group, but I think it's worth something. If it wasn't, they wouldn't be trying to convince us so hard. They wouldn't have Michelle Obama making speeches and whine, you know, y'all please go vote. It's important now more than ever.
I think.
You know, are you gonna cry?
I think the thing that they don't want is for Black people to unplug from the matrix. So
it's not the vote itself, it's our influence.
Right. And it's like if Black people pulled away from it, then what are they pulling towards what is the fear, I think. Yep. So because, you know, as long as they keep convincing us that voting is going to, you know, somehow you know, be in our best interest, you know, putting these clowns in office, then we're a part of the whole system, and we're good Negroes, we're doing our parts and all of that kind of stuff. But once we, you know, if we're just like, hey, we're not doing that, you know, we're doing our own thing or whatever like that, that's the big fear. Because remember, with segregation, we've talked about this before, with segregation there was a lot of Black excellence that we don't talk about. You know, they didn't integrate Major League Baseball because they were trying to help us out. They did it because the Negro Leagues were doing way better than Major League Baseball. They needed us, and it's a crying shame that they frame it as if they were just so nice and they just wanted to change everything. And Branch Rickey was so sweet. No, that's not what it was. They needed Negro Black ball players to play in it, and then eventually, but with that integration, the Negro Leagues fell apart because all the Black players went to Major League Baseball, and so I think so they need us to be integrated, because if we get a lot of power within ourselves and build up our own communities and stuff like that, there's so many other groups that benefit financially from Black dollars. You know, a lot of communities benefit from Black dollars. A lot of people are rich because of Black dollars. Think of the Korean grocers and the nail shops, and think of the Arab business owners, and there's so many people make billions of dollars off of us, and except for us. So they don't want us to have that kind of mindset.
They want us to stay looking outside of ourselves for a solution.
Right.
No, we're supposed to be dependent on the government. We're supposed to be dependent on a candidate, some type of political candidate that's supposed to come in and magically, help us eventually.
I agree. No, I'm like, I feel like that especially with the Democrats, considering that Black folks are the most loyal voting base, I kind of feel like that that they feel like that they don't have to do anything to earn our vote, because I mean they've already like taken us for granted. I mean, you know, Jacqueline said, you know, you trot out Michelle Obama, she like, you know, with her goofy speeches, and I mean, you know, Barack Obama. I mean, it's like, look, like, you know, symbolism unfortunately is very strong in our community. Identity politics. Look, I cannot get mad at someone, you know, being drawn to identity politics, because it's powerful, because representation is a very powerful thing, right? But it's like, I feel like that it takes a lot of intelligence for us to sort of look past that. You know, Kente said earlier, we fell for the banana in the tailpipe with Barack Obama. So it's like, you know, how do we look at these candidates and vet them properly? I mean, because look, I looked at Joe Biden's, you know, plans, right? His criminal justice plan, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty good. Like, you know, he has a lot of things in there. His plan for African Americans, I mean, but it all depends on you. Like, do you trust him to do the right thing? I guess that's what I'm saying. Me, I don't, because it's just like what the great Maya Angelou said. You know, people, when people show you who they are, you believe them. And, I think Joe Biden's a racist. So it doesn't matter that he picked Kamala Harris, a woman that has done horrible things to the Black community. It's just that they're just banking on, well, look at the alternative. And I'm like, look, if it's pork or if it's chicken, and if I'm a vegetarian, I'm not gonna eat either. You dig? Give me them bean sprouts. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, so it's like they have to come to the table more, but it's like, it's like what Jacqueline said, like how we see ourselves is going to determine how they come at us. If we're just lockstep and just being like, you know what, no matter what, I'm gonna vote for him. Well, shit, you're like, they ain't got to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like being in an abusive relationship. No matter what, I'm staying. So that you have no expectations of the person you with. They can do anything.
Absolutely. Like they can. Like, if you look at like Barack Obama, he didn't do shit for the student. Like, he didn't do nothing for the Black community. Nothing. He talked down this. He didn't go after the banks. He didn't go after Wall Street. He did not go after the various police departments that just had police terrorism on our butts. He just talked down to us, and he was like, well, I'm Black. They're like, that's all y'all need. And so I guess I'm just disappointed, Kente, Jacqueline, and Dr. Bob, because I would have thought that we would have learned from that. And it's like,
we got punished for Obama. They,
right?
The fact that he's in office, we got punished for that.
Punished.
Yeah.
Jacqueline, can you just explain yourself on that?
I mean, think about it. When he got in office, so many people, started, like the whole discrimination on jobs, police brutality, all that stuff just amped up. Even like I know a lot of people who, after he got elected, went to work the next day, and it was a lot of hostility, towards them on their jobs and stuff. The whole police brutality thing. And it was like nothing in government happened in our favor. But, we could complain about it because whenever we did, there's no racism because you have a Black president. I mean, he didn't even help Flint, Michigan. And I said that in my video. That's one city.
Jacqueline,
one city. And he couldn't help one city of Black people, much less a whole nation of us.
They still got shitty water down there. Do you remember that video of him quote unquote drinking that water?
Right.
Yeah.
That was one of the most insidious things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I was sickened by that.
Yeah. I mean, you can go on, and it's one of those things too about former President Obama. Is I know our people love President Obama.
We still worship him to this day.
A lot of people do. And it's like, if you say something negative about him in a certain room, you will get the knives and the pitchforks and all of that kind of stuff. People will come for you over there, Obama. And you know what? I have to say, even somebody like myself who is very politically astute, I was like that early on when he first got in there. And
we all was, dog.
Yeah.
Like, bro, we all were so listen, bro. Like when he won the presidency, I almost cried. I was like, I can't believe
I did cry.
I was crying.
We got a black man.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? It's like I never thought, like, and I said this on Dr. Bob's show. I'll never forget this. I said I never thought that the way I think about him now, you know, rewind 8 years ago, I'd be thinking like that. But I can't stand him. Like I think he is Barack Obama is exactly what you don't want to be. I'm sorry. I mean, Jacqueline, like you reminded me of the Flint, Michigan. I mean, just that. I mean, just you. For me, you guys, the point when I said F him was it was 2 points. It was when the first time was when he was at gosh, what was the church in South Carolina where yes ma'am, Dylan Roof killed 9 folks, and instead of calling out what it was, which was racism, white supremacy, terrorism, exactly, murder, racial terrorism, he said, he went on about mental health and gun control, and I was like, fam, are you kidding me? That was the first thing. The second thing, and I'll never forget this, I was at the gym, I'm on the elliptical, and this dude, he's you know, y'all remember the Freddie Gray uprising, right? And it's like, you know, like 3-4, I believe it was like 3 days went by. He didn't talk about it. So he was in the Rose Garden, and again, I remember all these details. He was in the Rose Garden, and he's with some Japanese people, and one of the reporters had asked him about it. He was like, well, you know, they're thugs. Burning down a CVS doesn't have anything to do with it. And that's when I was like, after that, I just knew he just wasn't for us. I mean, to call black folks thugs when we're fighting for our lives, fam. Like he's just a clown to me. I'm sorry.
I don't mean to be offensive to anybody in the homosexual community, but I believe that the whole situation with the Dylan Roof shooting, that whole crisis, that was used as a distraction. You remember the shooting happened, and then after the shooting, there was this big issue about the Confederate flag. We all fighting about the Confederate flag, people climbing on flagpoles, and there's a whole big hoopla. And in the midst of all that, and I remember because I was working in a hair salon during this time, in the midst of all this chaos, out of nowhere in the middle of the day, there's a special news alert, Obama coming to speak. And he came on TV, it was around noon that day, and he announced that gay marriage was legal federally, throughout the United States. I mean, nobody knew. I didn't have any idea that, that was something that was on the agenda, but it was like they took that and twisted it and used that situation to distract us from something else that they were doing. And I don't have nothing against anybody being married, but I don't like the way that, that was used. Our struggle was used to benefit, another, special interest group.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like we're always being used. You know what I'm saying? We're always being used. We're always being manipulated.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely great for the LGBT community. I mean, he was their president. He definitely was their president for sure. So they should put statues up all through North Hollywood and San Francisco and Atlanta. Like they should have giant. They should have giant Pharaoh Ramsey statues to Obama in those places, man. But
when it came to us, it was always excuses.
Right. So, and it was hard. it was hard getting to that point where I finally had to admit it's almost like you're in a bad relationship, but you're in denial. And then you're just like, no, she's cool. No. And everybody's telling you, there's a bunch of people telling you, no, man, your girl ain't right. And you're like, no, she cool. And then you get to a certain point and you start realizing it. And then you're just like, dang, well, who have I been dating all this time? You know, right. That's how I felt about Obama. Is that all of a sudden I just realized that the chick I was dating was not who I thought they were. So yeah,
I want to jump in here. So with African Americans, if they don't vote for the Democrats, what would you tell? What do you tell anyone who does that? Saying, you know what, I want to vote for the Democrats, and you ask them why, and they say, well, just because my parents do. What would you tell them?
That's their choice. I'm not
Pardon me?
That's their choice. I mean, I'm not going to convince another person to do one thing or another. I just know what I'm going to do, what I'm not going to do.
Yeah. I honestly, this is a recent change. When I say recent, I guess it's been about 8 years now that I've really gone this way or whatever, because I didn't vote in the last election for neither candidate. I voted, I just didn't vote for president. And so I did vote. I vote all the time. I chose not to vote for either candidate. I couldn't stand either one of them. And it's not that of course I don't want Donald Trump I can't stand Donald Trump. Let's get this clear, because people love to do this. I don't like Donald Trump. I can't stand Donald Trump. I hate seeing his ugly face all the time. You know what I'm saying? I can't stand this guy. I never liked him. See, some of y'all who are afraid of him now used to like him. Let's just keep it 100. A lot of you Negroes who are so scared of him now used to like Donald Trump until he became president or started running for president, and then you start liking him. See, I'm old school hate for Donald Trump. My hate goes back to the Central Park 5 and beyond that. So I ain't never liked Donald Trump. Never liked him. And honestly, it takes 2 seconds to look at Donald Trump before he was president and realize what kind of person he is. So I want to make this clear, because people keep saying, I hear this all the time, so that means you're voting for Trump, or you must want Trump to win. No, I don't want him to win. I absolutely do not want Donald Trump to win. One of the only good things about Biden winning is seeing his punk ass, excuse my French, even though that wasn't French, having to vacate the White House. That there would be some joy in that. Unfortunately, then you got to see Jim Crow Joe waddle in there. That's the only thing. It would be like for 2 seconds, you're like, bye. Like, remember when George Bush had to leave and everybody was like, get on up out of there? Yeah. But then you'll have to see, Jim Crow Joe going up in there. That's the only thing. So it'll be only good for like, maybe I'll get a good 5 minutes of joy.
So let me ask all three of you, is there more power for African Americans building their economic base or building their political base?
Economics
is political.
If you got the money, you can buy the power.
Man,
I would say both. But I agree, Jacqueline. You're like, what you said earlier, you like made a lot of sense. Like, we need to buy politicians because Black folks, we're just economically, we don't have money because of the racial wealth gap. So it's like, if you don't have power, you don't have money. So it's like, what do you do?
So
economics is at the base. It's a pyramid, and I forgot the guy's name who described this pyramid, but he had economics at the base of the pyramid, the foundation, and then above that was the political, and then all the other facets throughout the community. But you have to have the money. I mean, like you said, we're living in a capitalistic society.
When I'm gonna quote Scarface, I pulled it up just so that I wouldn't misquote the great philosopher Scarface. In this country, you got to make the money first. Then when you get the money, you get the power. Then when you get the power, then you get the women. So pretty much he's on point with that. So you're on mute, LaRon.
You're on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute, bro.
Like, I totally agree. I think that gosh, like the thing about it is though, is like we have so many roadblocks to getting money. I think Jacqueline is talking about group is talking about group economics, and I think that's a great idea, but it's just that Black people, we don't own so many things. You know what I mean? Like we don't have resources. Like I'm not trying to paint a dismal picture here, but it's kind of like where we are. Like, Malcolm X once said, you either vote at the ballot or with your dollar. So I think that, I hate to say it, man, but I think that by withholding our vote, I think it will be more powerful.
I'm going to piggyback on what you just said there, Loran, about the economic base. And I think a perfect example is gentrification, right? So and one of the things most Black people we don't own land. We don't own land. Gentrification is based on owning land. People who don't look like us come into our neighborhoods and they get land, and then they sell that land for a huge amount of money. So one of the things Blacks may need to do is get organized and buy land. Land never goes down in value.
Right. And
that's why gentrification is so powerful, because it's based on land. And
a lot of Black people actually do own land. Because maybe their great grandparents or their grandparents bought land, and they're just their grandkids, the great grandkids are selling it, and a lot of it is cheap. So right now you can go all over. Right now, there are places in the United States where you can get land relatively cheap. Like I said, I went on a trip last year. Went to Arkansas. And started getting stuff in Arkansas. So there are places you can buy land. I ain't a rich guy at all. So and where I'm from Los Angeles. So what's a lot to me is not a lot to someone in Arkansas or maybe Alabama, Mississippi, or somewhere like that. So so you can do it. It is possible. And
I want to piggyback on and Jacqueline said, we got to be cooperative. Like we got to do it. We don't have the ability to just do it on our own. Most of us, we have to cooperate. Now, not to say you have to cooperate with or work with everybody, just work with the right people and start getting some land. Right. I just started thinking about this a few weeks ago. I said, if we had land, it'd be a total different ball game.
Right.
And we kept that land and we could build stuff on it for not only ourselves, but our people. In regards to that, gentrification, again, I bring it up again, based on the land.
Yeah, and I think isn't Boosie?
I'd be very interested to know in the United States the percentage of land ownership of white Americans versus Black Americans.
I'm sure it's very out of whack.
We gotta do something, like you said, we gotta do something with the land too. Like Black people in America, we're gonna have to take it back to square one. We're gonna have to take it back to farming.
I agree.
So Jacqueline, do you feel Black Americans are ready for that?
I don't know if we are ready, but we need to get ready.
Right.
Real soon, sooner than we think, because we don't know what's gonna happen with everything that's happened this year. Because I keep hearing food shortage, worldwide food shortage. I keep hearing those same two words over and over again that I've been hearing for like most of this year.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
why I like Trump in office, because he woke us up. He showed us what America was really about. And if we select another Democrat, you know, and we get like a black woman president, a lot of us gonna fall back to sleep and get back complacent.
Right.
So no matter who's in office, we're gonna have to stay on our toes.
Amen.
Food sovereignty, food security, two terms that were never used as much as they have this year. This year just shown how much of a challenge. Like all of a sudden you hear people say, oh, we need to grow our own food. Well, our ancestors did that. Why haven't we stopped?
Right.
We talk about our ancestors fighting for voting. Okay, they fought to have their own food. Why are we not focused on that?
That's real.
Right. Our ancestors did a lot that we don't give them credit for. Yeah. No, I agree. And one thing I also want to be clear on is when I say to Black people should think about not voting, I'm not saying to unplug from the political process. You need to you need to be aware, 100% aware of what is going on. So you need to know, it's like this, like history, right? They teach us a lot of misinformation when it comes to especially our history in schools and stuff. And I believe as Black people, we should teach our kids the BS that they teach our kids. But to say this is what they're saying, so you know the lie, but then to give them the real. That's the BS. This is what it really is. So what I'm saying is we should all know who. I'm not saying to unplug to the point where you don't know who's running and you don't know what's going on. You need to know what's going on. You need to know Jim Crow Joe, and you need to know I forgot what Kamala Harris's put down name is. Scamala. I think they call her Scamala Harris.
Just a point though, Kinte, the Republican platform or 45's platform has justice has proposals to even make it worse for Black Americans when it comes to criminal justice. And it's very interesting that the Republican Party, they didn't put out a new platform.
Right,
Notice?
it's the same one.
They don't even have a new. They don't even have a new platform.
Right.
But even on the local level, if you're gonna vote, like I know where I'm from, a lot of people where my parents live, a lot of the candidates come and ask if they could put a sign in her yard or whatever. But even on a local level, if you choose to vote, question those politicians. If they come and say, "Hey, man, can we put this sign in your yard? I'm running for this right here." Okay. What do you know about this community? Have you been to a church in this community and talked to the people? How many houses have you been around? Have you drove around the community and see what needs to be done? Have you, we need this, and that in our community. And before I let you put this sign in my yard, I need to know what you're going to do for us.
No, I agree. Like I said, I've worked for those politicians. I know how they think. I know what they're afraid of, right? I know what they count on is you being uneducated about what really is going on. They'll sit there and make promises of things that they don't even have access to, that they can't even do if they wanted to. But, it sounds good in a speech, So local politicians and local elections are very important as well. But it's also, like I said, it's all about holding people accountable. But the thing is, you can't do it by blind support.
Right.
So if we, because the truth is, anybody we put in there is going to have the similar mentality as Jim Crow Joe, and Kamala Harris and Trump. But what it is it's putting their feet to the fire to make them do right. Lyndon Johnson foot was to the fire. You know what I'm saying? JFK, it wasn't because they were just so nice and sweet and they wanted to do something. No, they were getting their butts kicked in the streets,
Right.
And Black people, everything we've ever had, we fought for. Everything in this country, we fought for.
Absolutely.
Everything.
It's like having a family member in the hospital. I used to work in the hospital. When you have that family member in the hospital, I always just used to tell the person who's sick, I would tell their family, show up. If you can send somebody every day. And whenever the doctor or nurse come in, ask questions. What is this medication? What is it going to do? How can it affect them negatively? It's the same thing when you're dealing with politicians especially on a local level. You have to ask questions because the thing is, when they know you paying attention to them, and when they know that you're trying to figure out their intentions, they're going to be less likely to play with you because they're going to say, okay, these people over here, they watching me, you know, and they have a certain standard that I'm going to have to meet before they're going to come and support me.
Right. Yeah. So, so like I said, I'm not saying to pull away from the table to the point where you don't know what's going on the table, because that's stupid. But I'm saying is don't just blindly, because, you know, a lot of times, I don't know if you guys get these mailers where basically the party just tells you this is who you're supposed to vote for.
Oh yeah,
you know, it's like they don't tell you why. They just says this is what we're doing.
Those are like, oh yeah, like those are like the party ticket mailers.
Right, right. They don't tell you why you should. They just say this is what you're doing. They call it down ballot. I think that's what they call it.
Yeah,
which is absurd. You know, that you would just go, oh, I mean, that means you're so brainless that you're just gonna be like, yes, sir, I will do what you tell me to do. Like, just think how silly that is. You know, and you know how many people just vote the way that, oh, well, they use it as a guide. Oh, I'm supposed to vote for this guy. Don't even know who they're voting for, but because that's what the party says to do, that's what they do. It's really.
I've seen it. Oh, vote for him. He's a Democrat. Yeah, you know, because people walk up, who should I vote for? Oh, well, this guy right here, you know, so and so, he's a Democrat, so vote for him. You have no idea of his platform, what kind of plans he have for the community or nothing.
Yeah,
and he can be a straight up racist, and you still.
Well, Dr. Vibe, listen, like this has been a great conversation, but I have to go. Jacqueline, so nice to meet you. Definitely helped work with you on another show. Kente, it's always been real, dude. Like this was a good conversation. Just look to all the Black folks out there, learn about the candidates and just make people earn your vote. Just because they're Democrat, that don't mean that they good. Just because they're Republican, that don't mean that they bad. Although lion's share of the Republicans today are horrible, still make people earn your vote. We can't have people take us for granted. So that's all I'm saying.
How can people get in touch with you, LaRon?
Yes, sir. You can find me at www.laronbarton.com. I'm on Twitter at Mainline LaRon. I'm on Facebook, LaRon L. Barton, and I'm on Instagram at LaRon L. Barton. Only looking for good conversation, no nasty grams, no Cleveland Cavalier fans. And if you are mad that we're calling Kamala a cop, she called herself the top cop. So I'm just saying, you guys take care.
Be well, my brother.
Peace.
Take care.
All right, you guys.
All right. So, Jacqueline, how can we get you in social media and all that good stuff?
You can follow me on my YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube. It's Life According to Jackie, and you can send me a message or whatever. And I'm usually pretty quick at responding to people.
So, Jackie, before we first of all, thank you very much for taking the time. Looking forward to having you back on. Who's going to win the election?
I think Trump's going to get it again. I hate to say it, but either one is bad. But it's just something, an inkling in me just say that they're going to reelect him.
Okay. Okay.
And you know what people are going to say is, it's all your fault.
Honestly, I don't think we need a president. I think we need to figure out something else. I think we need to do something else.
Well, you're gonna. Many people say that if he gets in again, you won't have any choice.
I always have a choice. I don't have to stay here.
There. Well, just to tell you, the border to Canada right now, you can't come up here. Sorry to tell you.
No, honey, I'm going to Africa.
There you go.
Yeah. That's where I'm going.
Oh, we got to do that show too. The Exodus part 2.
Well, some people may say you may need to do that show on November 4th.
Right. No, we'll be fine.
Kente, how can people get in touch with you?
They can get me at Kente F on Twitter, Kente Ferguson on Instagram. And of course, the website is indyradio.org. That's INDY radio.org. We're supposed to be doing a Men and Women Talk to Mars Venus show tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. I'm saying we're supposed to be because I'm not quite sure if that's going to shake out. And I think if it's not going to shake out the way I wanted to, we'll probably just not have a show tomorrow. So stay tuned and we'll let people know.
Excellent. I am Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Once a month, I also host online conversations with fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and Dove Men Care. Best place to reach me is at my website, thedrvibeshow.com. Thank you, Kinte. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, LaRon. Thank you for everyone who dropped by, like Sybil, like Wayne, like Luke, like Maya, like Dee. Thank you so much. And all the people that watch also YouTube and the Facebook Live side. And everyone who's going to catch this on the replay wherever it is available. Remember, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good. And if you don't want to vote, that's your choice. God bless. Good night, everybody. Done.